Hey everyone, it's Mike Andes, founder at Copilot CRM, soon to be Homeworks. And today we're going to do something we haven't done in the past, and that's a recap of everything that happened in 2025. We're going to call it the wrap up. So Merry Christmas to everyone. We're also going to look forward to 2026 and see what you can expect from the software and new features and exciting new developments that we have going on. So first off, I wanted to say thank you to everyone watching this. It's really because of you that we're able to hire the team that we did this year, expand, and be able to offer a lot of these features. You'll notice here, almost everything I talk about happened the second half of 2025 as we really got the team reestablished, got a lot of the back end code base rebuilt. And so a lot of the engineering and architectural stuff that we had to fix from 2024 has been done. And now we're off to the races in terms of development. I want to say thank you to all of the members that have been with us from day one, that have joined in the past year. It's really because of you that we have the resources to be able to really invest in the product. So thank you so much. Also, thank you for your feedback. Those that have done customer calls with our product team, those that are on the customer advisory board, those that show up to webinars about new features and give feedback. We are a huge fan of doing fast iterations. So when you see something new come out, for example, like the Field Force mobile app, you'll see iterations over the course of several months, every few weeks of additions and improvements. And that's all based upon your direct feedback on the Facebook group, directly to the team at support. And so I wanted to say thank you for all of your involvement. All right, real quick, if you are considering joining Copilot, this is really the best time of year to do it. So if you're watching this, it's like the last week of December, potentially the first week of January. In my opinion, it's the best time to switch softwares, simply because you can just keep your old CRM as your old books and for last year. And then on January 1st, everything going forward is inside the new software. And so we'd love to help you merge over and bring over all your CSV and your customers and all of your data. But if you're going to do it, this is the time to do it, in my opinion. I've always swapped softwares on January 1st. So that way I can just know that, okay, 2025 is in one software, 2026 is fresh and brand new inside Copilot. So let's go over some of the new features from 2025. First off, we did a lot of upgrades to the support side. Now, I put here on the bottom the time that it took for us to get to a chat from a human's perspective. The chat has AI enabled. It can push you towards a lot of really good content, and as well as help articles. But we track how long does it take if you need human help, how long does it take for us to get to you. In 2023, that was 34 minutes. In 2024, it was 20 minutes. In 2025, that's 7 minutes. And if you look at the second half of 2025, it's even lower. And so we're really trying to do our best to make sure that this is as low as possible. There's a lot of companies that if you need human help on chat, they might send an email like within 24 hours, if you're lucky. 30 minutes, under 30 minutes is considered superb when it comes to chat support. The fact that we're able to get under 10 and that's still going down, huge win. We also are able to move into a new office to be able to accommodate the in-person team. I think the level of professionalism that the team has in person here is really sets us apart from a lot of other places that have just AI agents or they have virtual overseas, et cetera. So by having everyone in-house here, the support has not only improved in quality, but also the quantity and the speed at which we're able to get back to you. We also updated the platform for Copilot Academy. So this is brand new. We use a system called Kajabi. It's where we're able to have like webinars. We're able to have much better announcements and a page that's really improved for launching new features. And just the overall course structure is much better. We used to use a platform called Teachable, and it was good for courses, but not for a lot of the other interactive things that we wanted to do for getting you set up inside the system. And the number one complaint that we had from members that left Copilot is like, hey, I'm sure there's a lot of good features. I just don't know how to use it. And I don't want to spend, 20 hours watching videos inside what used to be called Copilot University. And so Copilot Academy is built on a new platform. It's much more digestible, and it has beginner, intermediate, and advanced levels for you to be able to learn the software at your own pace. Also, we have a brand new importing process. So if you're switching over from another CRM into Copilot, it's much simpler. Our existing internal support team has helped hundreds of people themselves, white gloved, and done the CSV imports for you. But also we made it more refined. So if you want to use ChatGPT, we have prompts that can really help you clean up the data and do it much faster. So what used to maybe take 3 or 4 days might take you half a day now. What used to take you for several thousand clients and several thousand contacts, we will actually just do that for you most of the time now. So assuming the support team isn't overloaded, you within a week or two, we're able to get all of your data and import it into Copilot for you 100%, and we don't charge anything for that. That's completely free, and there's no setup costs. And so for a lot of softwares, they will charge $500 or $1,000 just to cover the cost of their support team doing the imports. We do not charge that. And if you want to do it yourself, totally fine. We have now better tooling to be able to import your CSVs, all your customer data much faster. Now, inside of the chat, one of the things from the support perspective that's important to me is that we don't just push you in the direction of help articles or talking about features, but actually give you the reasons why from a business perspective it's important. And so the support chat that we're currently using now, and we started using in 2025, has massively improved. And the amount of people that are able to get immediate responses to their support questions is up dramatically. Something like 80% of questions are answered with the AI to satisfactory without having to go to a human. And if you need a human, again, we have very fast response time. Ideally, I get it down to like no response time because the AI is able to immediately pull the information that isn't required. But what was important to me is that it doesn't just give you a link to a help article. It tells you what to do, but also it gives you the business perspective. So the AI that we have inside of Copilot is trained on all of my content. So all of my books, like Copy and Paste Millionaire that just came out, these books are all go into the training data for the AI. So if you can just ask it, what's the best close rate if I'm in profit mode? And it'll give you the fact that 30 to 50% is what I recommend. And it gives you parameters and where to track that inside of Copilot. So it's actually more of a business sparring partner and a bit of a mentor and business coach because it's trained on all my videos, all my books, all my content. And so if you have watched my content, it's definitely trained to be able to help you take those exact principles and implement them in your business. So I'm going to move kind of systematically throughout the year from start to finish. And modern estimates redesign was so important. It's actually where we started when it came to new features in 2025. It improved the close rate across the board between 30 and 50%. Meaning, if you had a 50% increase in close rate, that means you go from like 25% close rate to 50% close rate. That'd be a 100% change. A 50% change would go from 25% to 37.5. So an increase of 50% close rate. That was sort of the range that we saw across the board. Everyone's close rates went up. And honestly, I actually think I'm going to go through a whole bunch of features. This is probably the one that had the most meaningful impact on the growth rate inside of Copilot. And this is why we have the 365-day money-back guarantee. Things like this, we know that if we can improve something like the estimate process and the acceptance rate and improve your close rates by 30 to 50%, there's no way you can't grow your business by at least 10% in revenue. And so we saw a huge jump in close rates. And all of this was mostly just because we did several things. Redesigned everything to look good on a mobile device because 80% of estimates are being accepted from mobile devices. So if it looks good on your desktop, cool. 80% of your customers are seeing on a mobile device. And so we really took a mobile first approach to how the estimate looks to customers when they click on your link and they get that proposal. And so the design and just even like the button placement and what the size of certain fonts was really taken into account. We listened to a lot of feedback and did iterations on this. And it was all in the mind of increasing and optimizing the close rate. What percentage of estimates you send get accepted? That was the number one thing we focused on. And across the board, it increased close rates by between 30 and 50%. We saw some outliers at like 80%, like almost a doubling of their close rate. But the vast majority of members inside of Copilot saw 30 to 50% increase in their close rate overnight, simply because of the redesign and building this whole new system on a new code base. We also added the pay in full feature. So we've had deposit thresholds inside Copilot for a couple years now, where anything over a certain dollar amount, they have to pay the deposit before even accepting the estimate. Makes it super easy to be able to do big projects. But what we noticed is there's a subset of your customers that you've done service for a long time, 5-6 years, and they've done the same services many times. They have a big project now. They do not want to pay the second invoice or a third invoice if you're doing progress payments. They'd rather just pay you all up front. And so anytime that someone's paying for a deposit now, right below it just says, would you like to pay this whole estimate up front? And you'd be amazed. a lot of people that have done service with you for 4, 5, 6 years just pay the whole invoice up front. This is a huge win from a cash flow perspective. Even if only about 15% of your customers use it, that's 15% of customers that you get all the revenue and profit before the job even starts. So this makes up for the people that might delay payment or their cards bounce, etc. That hurts cash flow. This is a huge advantage when it comes to getting customers to pay upfront. And to the ideal customer, they don't want to have to log in and pay for another invoice. And they don't have to worry about logging in and putting their card, making payment again. So paying in full for them actually saves them time. All right, credit card processing fees, pass-through, and ACH. So we allow inside of Copilot for you to pass along credit card fees to the customer. In order to be able to make this compliant, we had to make sure that there was at least one option for them to pay without fees. And so ACH or bank fees, we made sure that those are always free. So you can't charge for ACH, pass those fees along to the customer. But what a lot of times happens with other softwares is they will say that, but then the ACH, they're still charging like 1%. We made it where we charge exactly what Stripe charges us, which is we charge 0.8% and it caps at $5. So let's just say you're trying to incentivize someone on a massive product, $100,000, and you say, hey, you can pay the 3% for credit card, or you don't have to pay anything using ACH. Now, even if you use a different software that charges 1% on ACH, yeah, it's better than 3%, but 1% of $100,000 is $1,000 of processing fees. That's a lot. Inside Copilot now, you'll get charged 0.8%, which is lower than everyone else, and it gets capped at $5. So instead of paying $1,000, you will pay $5 for processing fees, and that's exactly what we're getting charged from Stripe, which is the payment processor. So if you do big projects, one project like this, you will save more in processing fees on inside than what you pay in all of your Copilot fees. So all your subscription completely will be covered. Just one invoice of a big project that gets capped at $5 processing fees. And so we have seen across the board from members inside of Copilot that do charge the customer a processing fee. The customers just take it. And because you offer the free ACH option, if they complain about fees, they can always put their bank information on file very easily. And so it was really important for us to first make sure that the flow inside the customer portal is easy to put their card on file, easy to be able to put that on file and save that payment method as well as ACH. And then we were able to say, hey, if you want to charge credit card processing fees and pass that along to the customer, fine. Give them the very easy option to add ACH as well, so that way it's compliant across the board. So there's a huge win. We have seen the processing fees of our customers drop dramatically because of offering the ACH for free to customers. And we have seen the amount of processing payments, the fees passed along to customers, and them not really care. Because as long as you give them the free option for ACH, passing along that 3% credit card processing fee, they don't seem to care a whole lot. We've seen very, very little friction when people do pass the card fees along to customers. All right. Another feature that we released this year was estimate declined reasons. Again, this is all trying to optimize for what our close rate is. And once someone declines an estimate, fine. I want to know what's the reason for them declining. And once I know that reason, I want to see if I can try to sell them on the job again. The guys can put up the slide there. So after every single estimate is declined, inside of the estimate list, you're able to see now the reason why it was declined. Because as soon as they click decline an estimate, it immediately asks them why. That could be scheduling, it could be the price. And although when you're really busy in the middle of spring rush, you might be like, hey, if it's price, I don't care, sorry. But when you're really slow, if they say that price was the reason they declined, you might actually go back to them with an offer. Like, okay, great. What's your budget? Can we remove some of the scope? If I gave you 15% off and you accept the next Thursday, would that work? So it gives you another chance, a second swing at closing jobs, especially when you're slow. When you're getting bombarded with leads, this might not be something you use a lot, but when you're in the middle of the off season, when there's not a lot of leads coming in, you want to be able to get that second swing at the job and call them and be able to have an offer and know why they declined the estimate. All right, another thing that we ironed out in 2025 was the QuickBooks Online one-way sync. So if you've ever used the QuickBooks Sync, in any platform, if it's a two-way platform, two-way sync, I do not recommend using it. We have used a whole bunch of different CRMs in the past, and almost every single time there's a two-way sync, it messes stuff up. And so the reason for that is because anytime they make an API change at Intuit, which is the holding company for QuickBooks, or anytime we make a change, it could potentially make a problem with a two-way sync, and then you have thousands of errors across invoices, payments, customers, etc. The more streamlined and confident way of making this sync was to do one way, which is data in Copilot is your ultimatum that gets synced to QuickBooks, so that when you go to QuickBooks and you see a payment, it shows the invoices attributed to that from Copilot. But it's a one-way sync, way less errors, and now we are fully confident that if you want to sync up your QuickBooks, so when you go to QuickBooks, you see what invoices are attached to each payment, you can absolutely do that. We rebuilt the customer portal from top to bottom. So we literally built it in a new language. So instead of PHP, it's now built in React. React is a new language that we're able to build much faster on. And again, this, where I'm at right now in our features, is like the middle of the year. This is where we were at around middle of the year. But once we're able to start implementing certain elements of the new code base, we're able to move much faster. So the Rails took a long time to put in place, but once the Rails are put in place, the trains can move much faster. And the feature work that you're seeing now towards the end of the year is the result of a lot of the work in the first half of 2025 of rebuilding the code base and moving to this new architecture. So we also completely rebuilt tips, payments, and invoices. We used for payments and invoices the new APIs and infrastructure from Stripe, so it's all in the best, most secure, fastest technology, as well as the tipping structure to be able to where a customer, as they're checking out, it gives them the easy option to leave a tip, 10%, 15%, 20%, or a custom tip on every single payment that they're making. One of the things that we're exploring throughout 2026 is how we do this if you already have someone's payment information on file, because we think this is a great opportunity to be able to get tips for your crew, even if a customer has a payment on file and never actually sees a receipt. This is something we're actively exploring. But what we did in 2025 is rebuild this entire code base, upgrade all of it based upon the new APIs that are brand new from Stripe. The off-season feature is one of my favorite inside of Copilot. We rebuilt this for much more reliability. What we found is that if you had thousands of recurring series that were dependent on an off-season, and then you adjusted the off-season dates, in the back end, it was adding hundreds, if not thousands of visits. And the trouble was sometimes it would bog down people's browser or just crash their system and like log them out of Chrome. That was a problem. It just took so much horsepower. What we've done is make sure it's much more reliable. So if you change the off-season dates and it's adding in or removing in tons of visits, it does that over the course of 10 or 15 minutes so your system doesn't get bogged down. Our plan in the future is to add some more visibility into knowing exactly how long that's taking and be able to see a progress meter when these visits are being done. Now, if you don't know what the off-season feature is, it allows you to be able to not have to worry about pausing or restarting series every single off-season. So in the past, I would have, let's just call it mowing, set up, and I would have it stop at the end of the fall, and then have to restart it in the spring. The trouble with that was when you have hundreds and thousands of visits that you got to restart in the spring, you inevitably forget a few. And you start to wonder, did the customer pause? Did they cancel early? Like, what if they paused, in September, October, but our season goes to the end of November? Like, do I need to tag every single person? Now, with Copilot's off-season feature, you just set up recurring series indefinitely and then set up a period of the year called your off-season, and you can adjust these and customize them as you want, that it automatically just pauses those services and takes those visits off the schedule. The fact is, you might come to the end of your mowing season and still need a couple more weeks of mowing because the weather's really nice. The ability to go into your settings and just adjust the date and immediately have all of those visits being added saves tons of time. Same thing at the beginning of the season. You're like, oh man, it's getting warm faster than usual. I've got to now create an extra visit for every single one of these hundreds of recurring series. Now you just move the date in the off season and immediately those can get added to your schedule. But the reliability of doing this was important so that as we have larger companies that have hundreds, if not thousands of recurring series, when they move those dates on the off-season range, that it is able to handle that without bogging down the system. All right, estimate status is something that we have been asked for a long time. The ability to be able to know if an estimate was not just accepted, but also what line items on that estimate were scheduled. So the through line of a line item being accepted, but then also when is it scheduled. So we have partially scheduled as well as fully scheduled right from the estimate list. That way you can filter down and know, okay, what are the estimates that were accepted and partially scheduled or not scheduled at all, and be able to quickly identify those right from the estimate list instead of going into every single estimate to see which of the line items were not only accepted, but put on the schedule. So estimate statuses is simply a chip or a little tagging system inside the estimate list. But you'll see how like this was just the start. And as we begin to unpeel what people were asking for, which is like, hey, we just want to know if something was actually scheduled or not, we started unveiling there was something much more important to build. And we'll get into that in a moment. Well, that's unscheduled work. So we started realizing the reason people wanted estimate statuses was just to be able to know what work is supposed to go on the schedule. It's been accepted, but it has not yet been scheduled. And the way to do that in the past was to use estimate statuses. And that is to go to the estimate list, filter down by accepted, and then see all your work that needs to still be scheduled. We don't believe that you should be relying on filters or even notifications in email, text, or in-app alerts as to whether an estimate is accepted and needs to get scheduled. And that's why we create unscheduled work. This is the place where you can tell your admin at the beginning on a Monday morning, hey, go to this one page and you'll see all the work that has been accepted but not yet scheduled. And from that page, you can put it on the schedule. Super powerful. In the past, you might have relied on emails or text messages or in-app alerts, or just going to your estimate list and filtering down and seeing what you need to get on the schedule. This is one spot for us to be able to see all the work that has been accepted but not yet placed on the schedule. Down the road, this is going to be a huge opportunity for us to be able to actually use budget hours, use your route, use the demographics of where you're setting up your routes, and actually predict where these jobs should go on the schedule. And down the road, potentially even put them on the schedule once you have certain parameters put in place. But for now, this is simply a one page where you can see everything that's accepted, not yet scheduled, all from one page, be able to schedule it. Saves a bunch of time. And just if you think about the steps that it cuts out, it makes the admin process so much more simplified. They can just have now on their checklist, your admin person, go to the unscheduled work tab and put everything on the schedule. Instead of open up the software, go to the estimates, filter down by accepted, filter down by which ones are need to put on the schedule. Great. Now go into the estimate, go to each line item and schedule from there. You're now like 4 or 5 windows deep into the software versus just going to one spot, and that's what we call unscheduled work. Now we realized also that waitlist was one of the biggest features requested inside of Copilot. This is where I can put jobs that I don't know exactly where I want them on the schedule, but I don't want them just to be sitting in limbo. Because in my opinion, until a job has been scheduled with a customer and they know the dates that you're showing up, they could still go find another provider. The most, frustrating thing is you show up at a customer's house and they're like, hey, sorry, I know I accept the estimate, but I got someone else to do the job. And a lot of times that's because we never gave them a date of service, collected a card information, collected a deposit, etc. So the wait list allows me to be able to see something on my unscheduled work because it has been accepted, but I don't know where to put it. For example, I'm doing sprinkler startups and starting up the sprinkler system, or I'm doing core aeration, or I'm doing a fertilization treatment. I don't know exactly where I need to put that on the schedule because it's weather dependent. And it's also schedule dependent. I don't know if I'm going to be super busy on a certain week. So instead of putting it on a date and then risking automations going out and telling the customer the wrong date, or I forget to move it in time and now it tells them I'm showing up tomorrow, instead of that, it now can be put on the wait list. The wait list allows me to have a range of time that I know I need to get the job done. And then it will give me warnings as to when a job that has a range of time is coming too close to being due. So if I said, hey, I've got to get this sprinkler startup somewhere between April 1st and April 30th. If it's April 28th, it's going to start warning me, hey, this is near due. Like you got to get this on the schedule. And so it's a very, very good way for it to be able to manage your calendar, because one of the things we talk about so often and in the book is that when it comes to scheduling, I am not scheduling based upon a first come, first serve basis. I am trying to put on the most time sensitive jobs first. I'm trying to put one-time projects out in the future because they're not time sensitive. Anything that's recurring, I'm trying to prioritize. So I'm trying to prioritize recurring and time sensitive jobs. So for jobs that are one time or time insensitive, the waitlist is a great place to be able to tell the customer, we will get to your job in August, for example. Because during spring rush, you're optimizing for recurring and time-sensitive jobs, not a big one-time project that you can schedule a few months from now. The waitlist is a great opportunity to put that on the schedule then. Overall, across the system in 2025, the average load speed per page was almost 25%. Now, that was the average. There are some load speeds that we literally increase the speed of the page by over 500%. So for example, the text inbox, where you can see all the incoming text and send out bulk text, sometimes that would take 10, 15 seconds to load if you had thousands of messages. Now, the ability to be able to see that in a few seconds dramatically increases the time saved. When we add this up over the course of all your employees, because they're clocking in and out of jobs every day, they're adding notes, they're adding videos, your admin staff is going between different customer accounts. When you add up all this savings, it is huge. So we ran a study for a company of 15 employees, and over the course of a month, they saved it was like $980 over the course of a month that they saved simply because of page load speed of 25% increase. So real big win, huge shout out to the engineering team to add all these features, but at the same time, make it much more lightweight application, both on mobile and desktop, to make sure it loads quickly. We made several quick dispatch improvements. This is used a lot of times for snow, and we have further improvements down the road that we want to make for snow removal specifically. But we made 4 specific improvements for the quick dispatch to make it more reliable and make sure that in the middle of a snow event, it's not doing things that you didn't expect it to do. We have a lot of customer discovery happening around snow and how quick dispatch can be used in other ways. And we have some really cool improvements coming to that in 2026, especially for the snow season. I know we're in the middle of it, so we didn't want to make a whole bunch of changes for this off season, this winter, but expect that going into next snow season, we've listened to your feedback. We've made some adjustments over the past couple months, but we didn't want to throw anyone through a loop during the middle of snow season, since that's what quick dispatch is used for a lot of the times. We just recently launched the saved route order. On the dispatch board, the ability to be able to lock in on a weekly or bi-weekly basis jobs that you do in the same order every single time. Now, down the road, we want to look at something kind of like a master route where you actually have a route and you can configure it outside of your dispatch board. Really what save route order does is on the dispatch board, just save the order in which you're doing your visits on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. So that way, if you have the same crew that has the same route pretty much every single week, you don't have to re-optimize the entire route every week. You can just add in maybe one new job, or if they need to make a separate stop into the existing route order, and it saves you a lot of time. This usually takes what we see as an optimization of route down from like 3 or 4 minutes down to 1 minute, because the only thing you're doing is just making sure any new customers are added to the route order. And right from the dispatch board, there's just a button that says save on a weekly or every other week basis. So allows a lot of customization and just sets that route order, locks it in place, and saves you time every single time you dispatch and optimize your routes. One of the biggest wins this year was the Field Force mobile app. And so you can see this on Android as well as iOS. I think the thing that I'm most proud about when it comes to the Field Force mobile app, even though it was only released a few months ago, is that almost every week, every 2 weeks, we've had an improvement and an update based upon your feedback. So thank you to everyone that used this in the beta version for a few months in the summer. Once we released it in the fall, we've gotten a lot of good feedback, and now a vast majority of Copilot members are using the Field Force mobile app, even for their estimators. And so I'll show you some of the tools that we're rolling out, but every week or two, we've been increasing the capabilities of the Field Force mobile app. First thing we love is the offline mode for Field Force. The ability for your crew to be able to go into spots where there might be spotty service or they might not have any data, and be able to still clock in out of jobs, add job notes, attach videos, attach pictures, all of that. And then it takes that data and then uploads it to the cloud once they get back in service. This was a problem if you have a web app, and we still support the web app version of Copilot on a mobile device. But the problem is, for your field technicians, if they can't see their job notes, they can't do the work. And so we don't want people to have to take screenshots or try to figure out where they're going to be at and remember what they're to do on a customer's property, or have to remember to attach photos later on. None of that. Now you can track all your time, add notes, everything that you normally would inside the app, you can do offline, and it'll sync up once you hit the cloud later on. We also added the Spanish version of the Field Force mobile app. So with a quick toggle of a button, you can change from English to Spanish, and it changes organically inside the app. This was also done with actual Spanish-speaking natives that were able to show us exactly the language that is used by our technicians out in the field. And I think down the road, there might be use cases for other languages, but seeing that we really focus on Canada, Australia, and the United States, this was by far and away the number one request when it came to language support, especially for the technicians. So a lot of people were saying, hey, our admin staff, people answering the phones, our managers, our estimators, they can use the regular app and use English, but we have technicians that can only speak Spanish and they have trouble navigating the Field Force mobile app. And so we've now have the Spanish version. We also just released the visit forms, which I'm really proud of because the design now is very, very seamless. The ability to be able to have drop downs, custom field text, both small and large text fields, the ability to have signatures that they can be collected right from the field. Super valuable for your team to be able to have checklists around like your equipment maintenance, the ability to be able to have customers sign off on work order requests, work change orders, I should say. So on the job site, be able to have them sign off on a visit form that says, hey, yeah, I agree to this new price proposal. I agree that we added to this project, all from the mobile app, all super well designed to be native inside of the app. And you can add those visit forms directly from the web app, and then they see it inside of Field Force. It's super smooth, and it's much better designed than the previous web app version that was just harder to design and navigate. The biggest thing about Field Force is making a simple user interface for your technicians out in the field that a lot of times they don't like technology. They don't want to see a bunch of buttons. It needs to be very, very simple, especially when they have gloves. You don't want fat fingers clicking 4 buttons. And so we've tried to make it really, really seamless for the technician out in the field. The thing that I probably love the most about all this year is the fact that now videos, large video files, can be supported inside of Copilot. So up to 500 megabytes. Now, if you're recording at 720p high definition, that's over 10 minutes worth of video. If you're recording like 1080p, it's like 7 or 8 minutes of video can be attached to the Field Force mobile app. It automatically compresses it down to a file size of about 50 megabytes automatically in the background. And you can go use different windows inside the page, still use the app elsewhere, and it's doing it in the back end. And even if you attach the video and you're offline, it'll do it once you hit the cloud. And what I like about this is in the past, we used to use WhatsApp, YouTube, Google Drive links to be able to give videos of our jobs and our projects to the crew. The estimator would take that after visiting the customer, attach it to a WhatsApp, a YouTube, Google Drive, something, and then we'd give that link to the crew on the day of the job. No longer do you need to do that. The estimator can make the video. It gets compressed automatically. You can attach it to the property. You can attach it, I think I have that in my next one. Yeah, you can attach it to visits. You can attach it to properties. You can even let your customer portal have access so the customer can see the videos. This is super valuable for a whole bunch of things. Internally, things like project updates. On a big project, a quick video attached inside of that visit for every single day for your crew leader to be able to do a quick project update and let the customer see that. The ability to use it for upsells. So instead of just telling a customer, hey, you need mulch install, show them the video, show them the weeds, show them the bare ground being baked by the sun. These are things that now you can do much better with video. And we have seen at my location that uses Field Force, for example, the ability for the estimator not to have to go out to projects anymore to just do a viewing to get a price proposal. Now you can just have the crew drop by the job. They attach the video to Field Force. He can then view it from the office and do 2 to 3 times as many estimates per day because all using video inside the app. Now that video can be attached to visits, properties, customer portal, and then you can download it and put it wherever you want. So it's not like you're locked into Copilot. From the web version, I can download that and put it into WhatsApp if I want. I can iMessage it. It's now compressed to a file size where I can do that. And I can also put it on the customer portal for customers to see. So there's just so much versatility, and I think this is just the start of what we want to do with media in general. What we love to see in the future is where from the Field Force mobile app, they could go in and see all the videos attached to this property. The ability for an estimate video to automatically move across instead of you have to download it and put it into the visit. There's a lot of things that we want to make and improve when it comes to media management. But the fact that now you can take a video, it gets compressed automatically, you can be over 10 minutes long, and I can move that seamless between visits, between properties, and my customer portal is an absolute game changer. You can use it for equipment maintenance. equipment checklists, project updates, estimate videos. There's no reason for an estimator to go back to a property after they've already been there once and done the walkthrough with the customer. Make the video, attach it to the visit, and you're done. And what's really cool from an admin perspective is now your office staff can see all the videos for that property. Just attach every video to the property. And now when a customer calls in to complain, the admin staff can answer way more of their questions because they see a video of what the project includes. They can actually understand what backyard behind the hedge means because they can see it while they're on the phone inside of Copilot. Super valuable. Quick fun fact, by the way, almost all the features that I've talked about was done the second half of 2025. So we're really just getting started. A huge shout out to the team. We have invested a lot into the team to bring on the highest caliber, the most incredible engineers, product leaders, support, customer experience team members to be able to serve our members better. And I think is evident when you compare the first half of the year to the second half of the year. And we're just getting started. So I want to talk about what's about to come in 2026. I'm going to just focus on the higher level things. On all the things I've already mentioned, there's going to be a lot of improvements, adjustments based upon your feedback. So don't think that like we're stopping on Field Force. Not a chance. There's going to be a whole bunch of really cool stuff. Even by spring rush, there is so much more coming to the app. And we're just getting started on each of those initiatives. But I want to talk about some net new things that we're exploring and going to be adding in 2025 and 2026. So first off, what you see in the design of the customer portal, the estimates layout, what you see at waitlist, unscheduled work, all of that is built in this new code language called React. It's much more modern. It is faster to develop on. It is virtually bug-free compared to the old PHP app that we've had in the past. Now, instead of just revamping everything and shocking everyone, and you have to retrain everyone, we're doing it very systematically, page by page, to not upset members and to make sure that when we do it, it's done not just like, hey, it's new, it looks nicer. There's actually intention and there's thought going behind where are the buttons, what makes for the least amount of clicks, what is going to save us the most time. For example, the waitlist, for the first time ever, you saw this little shelf that slides in from the right-hand side. So that way, as I'm viewing the waitlist, I can also see even my calendar. I'm looking at my calendar. I can have the waitlist shift in from the side. With a click of a button, my waitlist shifts out while I'm looking at my calendar so I can quickly throw things into my schedule. Super valuable. Just that one little design feature, that one little change. So instead of just going through the system like, all right, we are changing the colors and we are changing the navigation, we're going page by page and we're going through and really think about speed and user interface to reduce the number of clicks and think intentionally about what you're actually trying to do inside the system. And so the thing I hate most when people are redesigning apps is it's just like, all of a sudden everything just changes and it doesn't really do anything differently or better. It just causes frustration for me to have to train my admin, train my technicians differently. We're going page by page. So you can expect throughout 2026, every few weeks for us to be giving you a new updated skin or user interface to a page. For example, the way that we filter things. If you look at the waitlist and the unscheduled work pages, the filtering is very good compared to the old system. We will then propagate that same filtering and list mechanism and interface across the estimate list, invoice list, customer list. These are things that we will slowly do to make sure that you don't have to revamp your systems and you can adopt the changes. And as they come out, it's saving you a step. It's saving you a click. It's saving you time on each and every single one. So really the waitlist and unscheduled work that just recently came out is the first part of this redesign that's inside of the CRM. Because first thing that we focused on earlier this year was the customer portal. It was your close rate from the estimates, payments, invoices. That was all very customer facing because we knew that would impact your customers the most and therefore your business. But now we're taking that same thoughtfulness and intention to the CRM and going page by page. And I expect the same improvements in speed, same improvements on user interface and the ease of use and understanding the system to only dramatically improve. For example, the customer list, lots of filters, lots of buttons at the top. That can all be cleaned up, and that's evidenced by what we've done at waitlist and the unscheduled work page, and you'll see that propagate throughout the system. Price book. One of the biggest things for especially big projects, or if you're selling packages, is the fact that you might want to show the customer one thing, but inside of the estimate line item, there's a whole bunch of components that once accepted, then you can schedule. And you don't necessarily want the customer to see all the components. The ability to be able to accurately create large estimates using component pieces like how many budget hours, how many yards of material, how many linear feet of pipe, all of these things that you can build out inside your price book, then are components to make up the line item. Instead of right now, a lot of people use Excel spreadsheets to actually create the pricing, and then they put it inside of Copilot. Or even if you use rate matrices or other mechanisms, but like it should be super simple. It should be really easy from your mobile device as an estimator to be like, okay, I need 5 budget hours, I need 3 yards of material, I want an estimate fee, I want a dump fee, and boom, there's my price. It's all attached inside the estimate, send. And this is going to allow you to create for projects as well as wrap up multiple items inside of one line item that isn't visible to the customer. So this is a lot of really cool stuff coming. This really forced us to do a lot of customer discovery to ensure that when we roll this out, it's useful for all industries. And it's useful for everyone from doing recurring packages and small visits and maintenance to huge projects that need to know their job costing before the job even starts. Really looking forward to being able to roll out Pricebook. The thoughtfulness and the intention of the engineers to be able to take real world applications and turn it into code has been shocking to me, and things that I didn't even think of as they started to think about it from more of a mathematical and code approach. And I really look forward to sharing this with everyone in 2026. Instant quote forms. You can do quotes in many different ways. And inside the book, we talk about the slowest way of doing an estimate, and that is going in person and meeting the customer. The next fastest way is a drive-by, where I don't meet the customer, but I still go by the property. The next fastest way is over the phone. So an admin person would pick up the phone, sell the job over the phone, usually measuring the customer's property. But the fastest and least cost to you is if they do instant quote forms, which is from your website, they can select the price and check out. Put a card on file that automatically goes into Copilot with their credit card information, with their payment details. This saves you from having to have someone answer the phone at all, let alone 24/7, because instant quotes, they are open for business 24/7 from your website. So the ability to customize the form the way that you want, the pricing, the pictures, and then export that and directly embed it into your website is going to be super game changer. And then the fact is, right now you can cobble this together using Jotform or Paperform, another form company. Great. And it might look good on your website, but the problem is it's not going to collect their card information and then keep that on file inside their customer portal. That's what we're trying to solve here. Reducing that friction. The fact is, now when someone checks out, you know if they've actually accepted the estimate and they have a card on file. Their intention is so high. Less than 1% are going to default once they've filled out the form, put card information on file, paid a deposit. These are things that we're trying to solve, and it'll be completely customizable for every industry and for different types of services. So if you want one page to have an instant quote for one service and a different page have a different instant quote for a different service with different photos and different pricing, absolutely possible. Really looking forward to this. Augusta Lawn Care, I'm the founder. We have over 200 locations around the world. We've been using this now for almost 3 years and refining it, and this is game changer. It will reduce your admin costs by between 15 and 25%, because no longer do you have to answer the phone. No longer do you have to send an estimator of the property. No longer do you have to harass a customer asking for their card on file. None of those things. All that's done with an instant quote form that's a piece of code inside of your website. I'm really looking forward to this. I think that this alone will dramatically increase close rates, reduce your customer acquisition costs, and more importantly, allow you to really take advantage of the spring rush, because I can have 30 accepted instant quotes in one day. It's a lot more difficult for me to go visit 60 properties with a 50% close rate and get 30 accepted jobs. And so this allows you to scale much faster and be able to dump money on ads during spring rush when customer acquisition cost is low. I want to be able to dump traffic on my website, but I can't do that if I go visit every property, do a drive-by, answer the phone. Like, I don't want that reliance at all. And your best quality customers are going through instant quotes because they have a desire to save time. They don't want to call. They don't want to call 5 different people. They don't want to call and get voicemail. They don't want to call 5, set up estimates for 3, and one of them show up. They don't want that. They want to go on your website, see very transparent pricing, put their card on file, and go. Also, AI loves this. Because when a customer is asking for lawn service, what they're really asking for is, I need to know pricing and I want to get my problem solved. If you have instant quotes and you have the ability to be able to actually solve the problem for the customer without them leaving, without them setting up an appointment, this is game changer. Chemical and treatment focus will also be a big objective in 2026. We've done a lot of customer discovery. There are about 4 to 6 different features that we think we can add that will get us 99% of the way to software systems that are built just for treatments. The same way that the video features that we have right now kind of get you like 80 to 90% of the way of something like a company cam. A company cam for my location was going to cost $300 or $400 a month just for the videos. We are able to get like 70, 80% of the way there with the video features inside the Field Force mobile app. We believe that we can get like 98, 99% of the way compared to other software systems that are built just for treatments with about 4 to 6 updates. So we have chemical tracking, and when you click on the button, it gets the weather and the wind speed and all that sort of thing. But there are several things that we've heard from members. If we could have just these few little things, it'd be a huge step in the right direction to be able to handle treatments and chemicals better. The wait list is really the first step in that direction, but there's still several things in 2026 that we want to refine based upon the feedback that's been given, and I think that we can make this really bulletproof as we head into 2026. Now, the biggest announcement probably this year is that Copilot CRM will no longer be Copilot CRM in 2026. The brand of Homeworks is really built on this idea of a chain. And so if you look at the logo there right above my head, this is actually what it's going after. These 3 links. That's what this is envisioning, is 3 chain links. And that is sales, operations, and admin. So in the book, I talk about the 3 departments for every home service business. That is sales, getting the work, operations, doing the work, and admin, getting paid for the work. Every home service business has those 3 components, and that's what that logo represents. A chain link of sales, operation, and admin held strongly together. And if you have a weak link in sales, if you have a weak link in operations, if you have a weak link in admin, the business falls apart as the business begins to scale. Now, a chain is something that you rely on in the worst of times. When equipment gets stuck, when something needs to get tied down, when you need security, when you're tying down a excavator or a track loader on a trailer, you are relying on the strength of that chain. And so we truly believe that Homeworks, the brand that we are moving to in spring 2026, is going to allow you to grow without breaking. The reason we have the chain in the logo, the reason that we think about sales, operations, and admin in the business is so you can grow your business without breaking. Just the same way that a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. If you are growing your business and it's growing fast, you will break down if you don't have systems in place. If you don't have systems in your business, you'll break down physically, emotionally, spiritually, relationships will fall apart. And I see that all the time when I go out on the turnaround show and I see businesses that are growing very quickly, $1 million, $2, $3 million in revenue, but personally they're breaking apart. Relationships, they don't see their family. They're working so many hours, like physically they start breaking apart. The objective of the software, of what we have known in the past as Copilot and what will become Homeworks, the objective is so you can grow without breaking, because the software allows you to have the systems and the metrics and the ability to be able to know what to do next in your business. And so I'm really looking forward to the rebrand. We made it very intentional because I've wanted to change the name for a long time because of all the AI stuff around Copilots. Also, like Copilot.com is now owned by Microsoft, and Copilot is very much thought of like an AI thing. AI is cool. AI is awesome. AI is a fantastic tool, but it doesn't do the hard work and the grit that is required for home services. And that's why we felt like much more like a chain is representative of what we do. And the look and feel is very much of like almost like Carhartt, a Dickies. That sort of hard working is what we wanted to resemble inside of the brand. And I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be spring 2026 is when we will completely roll this out across the system. And it won't be a massive change immediately. Like I said, it will be page by page. But in spring, we will make sure we switch from blue to orange. And the site will change from copilotcrm.com to home.works. And so there was a lot of work that went into the rebranding and the ideas of what this actually means, because the whole idea of grow without breaking actually kind of simplifies and is a kind of an ode to what happened earlier in Copilot back in 2023 when we grew super fast and we broke. Like the code base broke. Spammers got in, started sending emails, bugs started perpetrating the system, and the business, like the software was not able to grow without breaking. I believe that's changed. I believe that the team that's in place now is so solid that we can scale and grow without breaking the system. And it's evidenced by in the past couple of weeks, hundreds of new members have joined Homeworks since the Black Friday launch. And these are large companies, big companies coming from Service Autopilot, Real Green, Aspire, Service Titan, Jobber, companies that are doing well over $1 million, $2 million in revenue. And the system has not broke. And so I'm super proud of the team, even in November and December, having 100% uptime. As we were releasing all these new features that have been coming out, and no downtime, been super important. And that is evidenced and reflected in our, not only externally, we want you to be able to grow your business without breaking. We want to be able to grow Homeworks, a place for home service business owners to grow their business without our software breaking. And so I really appreciate everyone's support. As we head into the end of the year, I want to say Merry Christmas. I appreciate each and every one of you for supporting the mission of what we're trying to do here, being part of the masterminds that we have each week with the Copilot members on the Facebook group, being engaged, the customer advisory board. Those have given so much feedback. We really do appreciate. We never want it to be where you just feel like you give feedback and it goes into this black box, but rather it is being acted on. And if we aren't acting on it now, we're at least giving reasons as to why, or giving you expectation that, hey, this is something that we are going to get to. And we never can move fast enough. I'll be the first one to get frustrated. Like, oh man, I wanted this done. I wanted this done by now. I want this figured out. I understand. I think the bottom line is the direction that the company is going and the direction the software is going, the direction that the members and the growth of the members is going is very positive. And the size of businesses that are joining Homeworks, soon to be Homeworks, now is unparalleled. And I appreciate all of your support tremendously. It's allowed us to be able to invest back in the product, back in the team, bring on this high level caliber of team that will be able to deliver on all these features and continue this rapid rate of innovation. So appreciate you all. Have a fantastic Christmas holiday season, New Year, and we look forward to serving you even more.